FM and
It's time for Rock Solid Sports.
The crowd comes alive. The Volunteers are ready. It's football time in Tennessee.
Dobbs drops back, fires long for the end zone. The pass is going to be caught by Tennessee.
Tennessee wins!
Caught it by Tennessee. Juwan Jennings. What a turn of events.
Give him 6.
To the checkerboards. Touchdown, Tennessee.
Rock Solid Sports, the only show with a home field advantage for UT Athletics. Here's tonight's host.
Welcome into Rock Solid Sports. It is Friday night, and we are here to give you the sports news, everything that's going on right now in the world of sports. The headphones. You can turn your headphones down right there. Yeah, use that knob. Because I know it's super loud over there.
Yeah.
I didn't want to keep talking and make Devin go deaf over here.
Oh, yeah.
We got 2 other people on the show. I'm your host, Chloe. Right here in the studio,
Yeah.
we have Devin.
Yeah,
who is now
sorry.
deaf.
Yeah, sorry about that. Yeah, I was like, wait a second. I know that. Yeah, I see it now. I've been there.
Did you get ear blasted?
Yeah, I literally did. Yeah, because I haven't been in this side for so long. I forgot. Like, okay, yeah, this one has a separate headphones thing.
Yeah.
Wait,
Welcome to the Friday show.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah,
And-
no, that's much better now. Thank you, Chloe.
On the show for so long, me and Devin were like, I don't remember the last time that we had talked to Justin. It's Justin
been a while.
Clemmer. How are you doing tonight? Thanks for joining us.
Doing great. You know, summer's winding down. Come back to Knoxville in about a week. I'm excited to be back in studio and, not remote. Like, I feel like I'm in a Zoom class right now. But I'm doing great. How are you guys doing?
Pretty good. I know we are also so excited to have all you guys come back and for school to start and everything to happen. I start band camp on Sunday, 9 to 9 for the whole week. So that's kind of like my official. That's for a lot of people. It's like the beginning of classes or move in. But I've been here all summer, so that's my official like getting back into the school year for sure. Hard launch at 12-hour day. Let's do it. I'm excited though. It's my senior year. I'm really excited to go through this, but. We have some things to talk about. Of course, we're here to talk about sports. But let's start with the NFL. NFL is starting back up. Not officially. I guess it's a preseason game. So
it's a taste. Like, I enjoy it. I don't know about you guys, but I do enjoy the preseason, just seeing guys in pads, watching your favorite team. We'll have the Titans play tomorrow at noon. But even last night, just watching Texans and the Patriots, just like seeing guys – it's cliche, but like they are fighting for a roster spot. They're pretty much playing for their dreams. So yeah, it's good football. It's decent. If you're a big football fan, preseason, it's where it's at. It's, like I said, it's just a good taste.
Exactly.
Yeah. And we get to see rookies in action.
That's what we were talking
and
about.
other guys, like some new balls that we're about to talk about here.
Yeah. So you really get to see. That's what me and Devin were saying. Like rookies and people who you're not sure if you're going to see it in the regular season. So one has already happened. The Texans versus the Patriots last night. It was in New England, but the Texans lost 20-9. So, yeah, I mean, typical Texans. No, I'm just kidding. That was, I mean, you really cannot take these games too seriously, of course, because like we said, it is the preseason, but it's still exciting. Any takeaways, not that we can take away too much, like I said, because it is the preseason, but what about this game really was just not it for the Texans?
Well, obviously, like the Texans, they're dealing with a brand new head coach, Nico Ryans, and
changes.
Yeah, and he's
I'm
super
playing a
young.
video.
He's super young, defensive-minded guy. So the expectation for the Texans this year is that they're still going to be really bad, but their defense should improve a lot. It should be a lot more ferocious, but the offense may be a serious work in progress. Now, they started C.J. Stroud, number 2 overall pick, great Ohio State quarterback, to begin the game, and he did not play very well.
I'm pretty sure the New England lost.
No, it was the
Oh, no,
Texans. Texans put up like 3 points or something.
That's like ESPN is trying to fool you.
Okay.
It's fake news.
Wait,
there.
do you see it? Do you see this?
Yeah, I see it. It literally says
Because
Texans
I thought it was
won,
the
but that's
Texans too, but it's literally
not true though. If you go and actually watch this is why I watched the highlights just to make sure. I'm like, wait a second. No, the Texans lost 20-9. ESPN is lying.
think. Okay.
Yep.
How much?
I was so confused when I
Did you watch that game, Devin? Did you watch?
Yeah,
the game?
I missed the game, but I saw the highlights of it later. So I know for a fact the Texans did lose 20-9.
Yeah, they got destroyed. Stroud played like 2 drives. He threw a pretty bad pick where he's staring down a receiver on a route. But
yeah, that was bad. Yeah,
Texans,
that was Caleb Mills, right? That picked it off.
Jalen Mills, yeah.
Jalen Mills, yeah.
But the Texans had a receiver that showed out pretty well in the first half. Tank Dell. He's I believe he was drafted in the 3rd round. He's from University of Houston. Yep. Yeah, he's a small guy. He's about 5'10", 160, so like just as kind of big as us. But he did really well. He had 5 catches, 65 yards in the first half and a touchdown. And like I don't know, when I watched him, I just kind of thought, I was like, that looks like Odell. Like that's not Tank Dell, that's Odell. It looked like Odell to me. But yeah, I mean, just preseason, you know.
Mm-hmm. And I will say now, like, because we're not sure who the Texans are going to start at quarterback, but Davis Mills, who was the starter last year, he did look really good in that game. He did look very comfortable, when he played and stuff like that. So I assume, I think the best thing for the Texans probably would be to start Davis Mills this season because he's got more experience, he's more comfortable, and then save C.J. Stroud for the next season once you kind of got your offensive game plan set because he's the guy who they think could be the franchise quarterback of the future.
Yeah, but something to remember is that the Texans don't own their 1st-round pick next year. I forget which trade it was where they lost that. It might have been the trade to get Will Anderson in last year's draft. So, I mean, their intention is to win this year, but in all likelihood, they'll probably be last or 3rd in the division because really it's just a 2-horse race right now in the Titans and the Jaguars for the AFC South.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. But the Texans defense, they were super fast. They were flying all over the place. So, they may have a tough defense to go up against. Unfortunately, the offense looks like it's going to go through a lot of growing pains this season.
Honestly, though, and this is kind of like a good example of it, something I really love as such a huge college football fan when it gets into something that's like helped me get into NFL more, I guess, growing up is like seeing, and this is, like I said, this is a good example, is seeing the quarterbacks or just the players more than just the quarterbacks that you watch so much in college, like come here and battle it out. Like, CJ Stroud, like you said, not showing anything too amazing so far. But, and then obviously Mac Jones with the Patriots. So I don't know. That's like probably definitely my favorite thing, which we'll get into in a little bit more because I've just am so familiar with those players because I've seen them a lot more being a huge college football fan. But yeah, I mean, like you said, not like we got a little taste of it. But it's, disappointing for some, like the Texans. Not that it's completely, he's new. Stroud is new to the NFL. It's a completely different league.
Yeah,
so.
and it's his first action against actual NFL players. I think early on in the game, he got the ball. A defender ended up coming right up the middle, which is hard to dodge. And I think the speed of the defensive tackle probably took Stroud by surprise a little bit there because it just came right up the middle, and then he just tried to get away and he was sacked like immediately. So just something that he'll get used to. I think he's got a lot of potential. I think he really could be a franchise quarterback. It's just, it's going to take a little bit of time.
Yeah, let them learn through the mistakes, play through the struggles. That's very important. You hate to see guys with quick leashes kind of just get pulled and they lose all their confidence. But the thing with the Texans, they got Davis Mills, but I'm pretty sure the only way Stroud's going to be on the bench is if he's got a cast around his leg or if he's hurt, something like that. Because 2nd overall pick, that's a lot of draft capital.
Yeah, that is true, and they've invested a lot in him. And the other guys around him, Bryce Young, Anthony Richardson, they're probably going to start right away as well. So Texans definitely want to get their guy in there soon to see what he's capable of.
Right. And we'll get to the game that just started a few minutes ago in just a second, but we got to shout out the home team first. The Titans play the Bears tomorrow night in Chicago. This is really exciting because I'm a Titans fan, and what are we expecting? Who are we expecting to see? Who are we expecting? Obviously, I think we're all expecting Tannehill at quarterback, but are we going to see any Will Levis, Will Levis perhaps? Are we going to see what all are we going to see from the Titans in this one?
Yeah, we're definitely going to see Levis and Malik Willis play a lot probably because Tannehill.
Wait, is he hurt right now?
No, it's just like, just because it's preseason, and I think this first preseason game, just based on what I've seen the other teams do, they're really playing mostly second and third string guys in these first games. So if Tannehill really is the presumed, first string starter,
okay,
yeah, then he probably won't play at all.
I never watch preseason football. If you couldn't tell.
No, it's
I'm
like
just going to be completely fully honest with you.
Yeah, well, I mean, the games don't mean. Other than what Justin said earlier, of course, guys are fighting really hard to make it on the team. And from what we've seen from Malik Willis so far, there's definitely some potential there, but, it definitely has a lot of growing to do. But I think that's really where a major battle is going to be between Will Levis and Malik Willis. And, Levis.
It's not ideal, that's for sure.
Yeah, and
for Titans fans.
And whoever, because who knows, the Titans, there's always rumors now because they drafted Levis that they might trade Malik Willis to some other team like Washington or something like that down the line. But that's definitely going to be an interesting battle. The wide receiver spot, definitely going to be an interesting one to look at because obviously the Titans brought in DeAndre Hopkins. They've got Traylon Burks for another year. But the depth at the receiver position still is not very good. So what I would love to see is just somebody that we're not expecting just to break out at the receiver spot and maybe show that they could be a dynamic number 3 receiver. And then that could give us more confidence with this offense.
Yeah, hopefully that receiver, it could be a guy that we saw a little bit of last year who performed very well before he got hurt. Kyle Phillips, I believe he was like a 4th-round pick or something last year. Yep. But he's that classic, little white guy receiver who just always seems like he's open. Saw a tweet. It was like a Titan fan wanted Hunter Renfrow, but we have Hunter Renfrow at home. And, they're not wrong. I mean, he did show out in the limited time that he had last year. I think he should get some reps this preseason. And it'll probably be with Malik Willis. I'm pretty sure Malik Willis is going to start the game. How much time will he get? I'm not sure. But we just have – I think it's just 3 QBs on the roster, Tannehill and then – Willis and then Levis. So in all likelihood, they'll just split halves. But what I'm looking to see is just a genuine improvement from Malik Willis because if he looks like he did last year, then he might not be on the Titans roster come the time they need to trim the team to 53. So we'll see. We've been hearing good things in camp about Malik Willis. Will Levis is really just an unknown. And he'll be out there with all third stringers in all likelihood. But I'm just excited because, the Titans haven't had a young quarterback with any promise in a long time. Yeah. Mariota, maybe a glimmer. But, hopefully they can show out. I mean, it's just preseason week 1, and they're going to need to stack practices and stack games together to really have a promising future and to get the Titans fans excited. Because right now, I mean, it's Ryan Tannehill this year, and that's not going to change unless he gets hurt. But these 2 guys got to show out. They, competition hopefully will bring the best out of them. So,
and I will say about Will Levis, just in some defense of him is in 2021 he was fantastic. Yeah. And then the following year he was not very good, but it has to be noted that Kentucky's offensive line was significantly worse the next year that Levis was in. A lot of them graduated. He lost his top receivers. He lost his offensive coordinator, Liam Cohen, to the NFL, which, funny enough, now Cohen is back as the offensive coordinator at Kentucky. But that previous year, he wasn't. So Levis had a new offensive coordinator, terrible offensive line, no good receivers. And so, I mean, it's pretty hard to win and be successful with that. So, maybe here's hoping that, Levis really is more like that 2021 version where if you put a solid team around him, he is going to perform very well.
Yeah, but come on, we all have a bad taste in our mouth from Will Levis. Yeah. The last time we saw him under 100 yards, 3 picks in Neyland Stadium.
Yeah.
It was rough, but I mean, he had less passing yards than Joe Milton that game. Milton played 2 drives, so but he's on the Titans. He's on our team now. We're gonna root for him. Wish him the best, but we'll see. Yeah, exactly. Last time we saw him wasn't pretty.
No, yeah, exactly. And this past season, it was a lot of the season was kind of like that too and stuff too. But Tennessee was legit though last year, so hopefully now
Not the defense. Just saying.
Well, true.
It's like Kentucky.
True.
Starting up in the first quarter right now. Speaking of seeing some second string, third string guys, is the Lions and the Giants. It's 3-0 right now, I believe, in the first quarter. But this is really exciting, right? Because we're going to get to see, Jalen Hyatt, who we all know and love, and maybe even Hendon Hooker as well on opposite teams, of course. But I'm really excited. I expect to see Jalen. We talked about this the other day, and I was like talking about, what former Vols do we expect to do good this season? And I said, obviously, we had like a list of all of them, and I said, well, my safe pick is Trey Smith because I know he'll be good. He's on, defending champions. And then I was like, but if I had to pick like my hopeful like full circle pick, I would have to pick Jalen Hyatt because he's coming in not the starting receiver, but we've seen videos of him in camp and he has the capability to be, and that's just like his story at Tennessee. So I just think that would be the bow on top of everything. Is it going to happen? I don't know, but he's just that good. So it just might. So I'm really excited to go back and watch this game. I was trying to get it on the TV, but the TV.
Yeah, it's having some issues.
Yeah. So I'll have to go back and watch that, not live, but I'm really excited to see Jalen Hyatt. If Hendon Hooker did anything, I would be so excited as well.
Yeah. I think, well, and here's the other exciting thing about Hyatt, and maybe Justin, you might have seen this also as well, but supposedly Hyatt ran like I think it was 24 miles per hour. He got clocked in like almost an entire mile per hour faster than Tyreek Hill was clocked in full pad. But we'll have to see if Hyatt's that fast in full pads and in the actual game, because Hill's speed I think was clocked in full pads in an actual game, and Hyatt's was clocked like in practice gear but still. I mean, that's pretty dang fast. Obviously, Hill is the fastest player in the NFL history. So the fact that Hyatt could possibly be faster than Tyreek Hill is absolutely insane.
Yeah, it's really exciting. I mean, Tyreek probably ran that speed throwing up the peace sign. He's really crazy. But if we're talking about this game specifically, I mean, I'm ready for the inevitable. I'm ready for that VFL picture in the end of Jalen Hyatt and Hendon Hooker. Maybe like a jersey swap or something. But maybe looking at some other players. Alabama's Jahmyr Gibbs, we playing for the Lions. He was electric when he played us. He reminded me a lot of Alvin Kamara, and I think he's going to do a lot of good things for the Lions. And he's just a very dynamic player. Catch the ball, run it down your throat. I mean, he's going to be exciting to watch. That's what I'm looking for.
Yeah, and he's a really exciting talent. The Lions, I really like that the Detroit Lions drafted Hendon Hooker because they're in an interesting quarterback spot because they have Jared Goff as the quarterback. Goff, he's had his ups and downs, but last year he was really, really good. But he's obviously not the quarterback of the future. He's kind of in the middle of his career, leaning more towards veteran. So I think there is the possibility if Hendon plays fantastic that he could play himself into the franchise quarterback role, and the Lions finally have a really good, exciting offense. They finally have a team for once that could actually make the playoffs, which is not usual for Detroit. And Hendon could come in and basically be their savior, be their guy. Kind of reminds me of like, what Russell Wilson did back at the beginning with the Seattle Seahawks, maybe kind of get in and take them to a perennial playoff team.
I think it's like good timing as well because I feel like we kind of saw like the tip of the iceberg with the Lions maybe, becoming relevant again like last season.
At the end of the year when they beat the Packers.
Yes, exactly. So I think maybe if the timing is right, then this could be really good for Hendon Hooker. And I think he definitely fits in well there. Like I feel like I definitely get those vibes from seeing him, and he looks good in their blue too. So
yeah, absolutely. And Dan Campbell is, seems like he means business. Seems like a really good coach to me. At least I like him. So I am kind of hoping that they turn it around and Hendon can get into that starting spot soon. Probably not this year, but because Jared's still playing really well, but maybe at some point, so that could be exciting to see in this game here.
And one more other thing we were talking about, of course, the video of in practice of Dobbs throwing to Tillman. Obviously, this is something that got Vols fans going crazy because, obviously. But like we were talking about before the show, Dobbs, we may get to see some of him in the preseason, but at the end of the day, right, Watson is still the starting quarterback over there.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens, but that's still a cool thing to see, even if it just is still in practice, of course. But yeah, definitely there's, numerous things, like a handful of other exciting things from former Vols and just with our teams, like the Titans in general, that we could talk about. But I'm really excited for the Titans game tomorrow, and we'll definitely be talking about that on Monday as well. We got to get into some college stuff right now. We're going to take a very short break. We'll be back with some things that our very own Tucker Harlan has came back with from Media Days. He's been there all week and all last week from Camp Media Days across the street in Anderson, and also maybe some conference expansion stuff. It's still crazy. Not many changes, but just speculation. So we'll be right back. Stay tuned. You're listening to Volunteer Radio 90.3 The Rock, UT's College of Rock.
This is Richard Lloyd. You're listening to 90.3 The Rock, bringing Knoxville new music first.
The Rock thanks the One Knox Sporting Club soccer team for their support. One Knox plays all of their home matches at Regal Soccer Stadium on campus, and the season runs into October, with matches against Memphis, Chattanooga, Lexington, and more USL League One opponents. Tickets, including UT student tickets and game day info, is at oneknoxsc.com. WUTK is proud to be a media partner with One Knox. Rock Solid Sports will be keeping up with One Knox soccer all season long. One Knox, we are one.
Volunteer Radio. Coach Barnes' Summit includes home games, Kentucky, Vandy, and more at Thompson Bowling Arena. Allballs.com. Student ticket info and login is at bigorangetics.utk.edu. That's TIX. Volunteer Radio says, go Vols.
Hi, this is Derek and Rob from the Funhouse. It was brought to our attention that our show and the things that we do would be seen as childish, not funny, sophomoric, vapid, stupid, and a complete and utter waste of time.
We strive to bring you the most entertaining radio that we're capable of each and every week.
So won't you please continue to support us and the station? Tune in every Friday night from 8 to 10 p.m. only on 90.3 The Rock.
The Funhouse. Simple as free since 2013.
Stop by the Funhouse Friday nights from 8 till 10 only on 90.3 The Rock.
The Funhouse is proudly sponsored by Raven Records and Rarities and Happy Holler, providing Knoxville with vinyl and more for nearly 40 years. And by ScruffyCity.com, your downtown destination.
The Rock thanks the UT Athletic Department and the Lady Vols soccer program for their support. The 2023 Lady Vols soccer team will kick off the 2023 season on the pitch against Jacksonville State Saturday, August 12th at 2 p.m. at the Regal Soccer Complex off of Neyland Drive. Regal Soccer Stadium is located just off Neyland Drive, and the public is invited to attend and cheer the Lady Vols on against Jacksonville State. Stay tuned to Rock Solid Sports for more UT Lady Vols soccer info. UTsports.com, and a link is at WUTKradio.com. The Rock says, good luck, Lady Vols soccer.
Volunteer Radio receives support from Tennessee Smokies Baseball, the AA Southern League affiliate of the Chicago Cubs, whose 2023 regular season schedule features 6-game homestands Tuesdays through Sundays at nearby Smoky Stadium in Kodak against the Chattanooga Lookouts, Mississippi Braves, Birmingham Barons, and more. WUTK's Rock Solid Sports covers Smokies Baseball all season long. SmokiesBaseball.com. Link up at WUTKradio.com.
What's up? This is Sunroom. You're listening to WUTK 90.3 The Rock.
The Rock and Roll. Rock.
Volunteer Radio thanks Modern Sports Bar, Fieldhouse Social, 2525 University Commons Way for their support. American Craft Food, beer and cocktails, a 21-foot digital big screen TV, and plenty more TVs throughout the restaurant and a back patio. Open at 11 a.m. except Tuesdays at 4 p.m. FieldhouseSocial.com or their Facebook page. Fieldhouse Social proudly sponsors WUTK's Rock Solid Sports Monday Summer Show at 7 p.m.
The Rock thanks Knoxville Ice Bears Southern Professional Hockey League team for their support. Their 2023-24 home ice season from October through April includes games with Fayetteville, Huntsville, Roanoke, and more at the Civic Coliseum downtown. Single game and season tickets at KnoxvilleIceBears.com. Rock Solid Sports features Ice Bears Wednesdays with news and updates. Volunteer Radio says, go Ice Bears!
WUTK thanks the UT Athletic Department for their support. The 2023 Football Vols will play home games in Neyland Stadium against SEC rivals Georgia, Texas A&M, South Carolina, and others. AllVols.com for info, and single game tickets are now on sale. UT student ticket info is at bigorangetics.utk.edu. 90.3 The Rock says, go Vols!
Welcome back to Rock Solid Sports. It is Friday night. I'm Chloe. We got Devin here in the studio and Justin on StreamYard. And we're transitioning over into our college segment here. First of all, Tucker Harlan has been down across the street at Anderson Training Center for the fall camp these past 2 weeks. And he couldn't be on the show tonight, but he kind of let us know the main thing, of course. I'm sure you've seen it if you keep up with Tennessee Vols sports, is Cooper Mays hasn't been at practice, but they revealed today that he underwent a minor procedure and is expected to be back by kickoff. Obviously, Cooper Mays is someone very vital for the O-line and things, but do we think, I mean, this is just, a small talking point here, but they said he's expected to be back by kickoff, so obviously he's missing a lot of practice here. Do we think this is going to affect his season any bit because he's not been practicing, or do we think they're just going to throw him in anyways against Virginia, like you pointed out, Devin?
Yeah, well, I mean, I hope this doesn't affect his season. Cooper Mays is definitely one of the most important players on this team, no doubt about it. A senior center, that's an extremely key position on the offensive line, and he's a leader for that team. So hopefully it doesn't affect his season. However, doesn't sound like anything's too dire. Unfortunately, Virginia, they're just in a rough spot right now. I mean, we talked about how, the Vols' projected point spread last time we checked was like they're favored by 28 points, which obviously is four total touchdowns. Just crazy. And Virginia, they're just in a rough spot. They might win 2 to 3 games the entire season. Maybe they'll win a couple of conference games, but they might not even do that in the ACC this year. So regardless of whether Cooper Mays starts in that first game or not, Tennessee should for sure still win that game, should still win comfortably. But hopefully this injury of his, it's not going to affect him very much. And it sounds like, it's kind of minor, but you always wonder, coaches can tend to downplay certain things, can tend to keep certain things close to the vest, to not give anything away. So, but at the end of the day, I'm hoping that Mays is perfectly fine. And, after this Virginia game, he'll get back into the swing of things. Fortunately, Tennessee does not have a super difficult schedule to start out.
Yeah, it's obviously tough losing your center. There's a lot of communication through the offense that goes through the center. But if this was like a new offensive system we were implementing, I'd be more worried. But Mays and Milton have been around for a while, so not too concerning. We don't, and like Devin said, we don't really need them against Virginia or Austin Peay. We just need them by week 3 against Florida, and I think everyone expects him to be back by then, even himself. So not too big of a worry. Maybe look at the bright side. It gives a new guy, maybe our center for next year, just an opportunity to kind of grow a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely an underappreciated position for sure, and a important one as well. But wish him speedy recovery. And that's really all on ball football for now. We've been doing like these little fun last segments because there's literally nothing else to talk about. So we may get to that in a minute. Something about college football after that. But right now, here's conference expansion. if you've been listening to our show, we've been talking about this for the past few weeks, and it was kind of crazy how it folded out because it started out with the smallest rumor, and everybody's like, "Oh no, that'd be so crazy," and then it all ended up happening, or most of it, not all of it quite yet. But I mean, the speculation, conspiracy theories just turns, like you said about Texas and Oklahoma, they just turn out happening. There's a reason that they're there in the first place, right? That there's a speculation. So most lately, Cal and Stanford are rumored to join the ACC, and Notre Dame might be involved in this decision on getting them over there. And this is just crazy. I mean, it would be kind of, I think it'd be funny. I mean, it'd just be not the Atlantic Coast Conference, it'd be the Coastal Conference, and there already was that. But I mean, it's just all the coasts, east and west. So this would be kind of bizarre. I mean, Devin, what do you know about this? I know you're the one that was kind of in the know on the Notre Dame helping out with this.
Yeah, that's just a rumor, of course. I actually, funny enough, I saw that rumor from like a Florida State website. So it's also like Florida State might be trying to spread that rumor because they're anti Notre Dame, or they're trying to jump out of the ACC.
Who isn't anti Notre Dame?
Well, fair enough. Yeah. So it's like they got a lot of enemies for sure. But there's rumors that Notre Dame, who's kind of like half in the conference and half out, and the ACC is always constantly trying to pull Notre Dame in. They're like, come on, you can't stay an independent team forever. Just join us. You're already kind of half in. We need your money. You know, just get in here, please. And they're kind of like, well, what if you guys maybe add Cal and Stanford? And Notre Dame plays Stanford almost every single year. So it is kind of like a thing for Notre Dame to play the Cardinal as well. And they might start doing that with California also. So they're just like, hey, these are two high-level academic institutions you bring into the conference. Because that's one thing that's saving those two schools is, I mean, Stanford's basically an Ivy League school. And then California has rigorous academic achievements as well. So bringing those two schools in, and they've won lots of national championships in various other random sports that are not football or basketball or things like that. But so that brings a lot of value to those two schools there. And then maybe the ACC, if they bring those two in, then maybe Notre Dame decides to join them, and the ACC can remain a strong, Power 3, Power 4 conference. Because their days are seeming like they're in a dark future with Clemson maybe wanting to leave, Florida State definitely wanting to leave because they came out and said that they do. If not for those ironclad contracts that they signed into, they probably already would be gone. But unlike the Pac-12, the ACC was actually smart about signing those schools to long, really difficult, really expensive to get out of contracts. So at the end of the day, it's all very interesting. And then the other rumors with the last two Pac-12 schools, the smallest ones, Washington State and Oregon State, is they've gotten invites from the Mountain West Conference and the American Athletic Conference. But that's it. Their days as a power conference schools are over. And in all of this, those two kind of get left out, which is unfortunate for them.
But I mean, even Oregon State has grown to be, relevant across most sports now.
Yeah.
So
I mean, they've always been great at baseball, and they had a really good football season last year. I mean, just ask Florida about that in the bowl game. So
they beat us in basketball a few years ago.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah.
That was the year they went
the first
to the Elite
round.
Eight. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
They went to the Elite Eight randomly that year. So yeah, I mean, Oregon State. So it's just unfortunate for those two schools because they are good, but they just don't have the money and they're just not that big, and they just kind of get left out. But if they end up at the Mountain West Conference, which I think is most likely, I mean, they could dominate and win that conference. So that's always the silver lining.
Yeah, but I don't think you got to feel for their fans. I mean, you go from Pac-12 conference to a lot of history. I mean, you think back to even like those Colorado teams back when they were good, a long time ago, to playing like who's the San Diego Aztecs. Like that's who's in the Mount. That's their competition in the Mountain West.
Boise State, Fresno State. Those are kind of the best.
But one thing I am excited for, Y'all ever been like up late Friday, Saturday night? You just see what's on TV. It's like 1 a.m. and then it's like UCLA versus Washington.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see that, but maybe it'll be like UCLA versus Texas or Washington versus like Clemson. Maybe like a bigger game that'll be on for us Eastern time people at like 1 a.m. So
Yeah. No, that's
true.
that
That's
is
a silver lining for us.
Yeah.
for us, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, because like I was like, oh, I feel bad for the Oregon State fans, but I don't really care about them.
Yeah.
Like,
But what's sad? Also, what's sad for Oregon State, their football team was so bad for so long, and then they finally become super good, and then the conference collapses. Right as they finally have a 10-win team, super good, and that was a 10-win team without a quarterback, basically, and then they still won 10 games. So, and then it all collapsed. Oh, and they're doing all these renovations with their stadium. They just spent all this money on it. Oh, and now the conference collapses. So it's just kind of sad in that regard.
But just like generic, like overall, I feel like these decisions, and we've talked about this a little bit, are being made, mainly with football in mind.
Yeah, no
But
other
when you
sports.
think about all the other sports, most of the other sports, obviously football generates the most revenue for most of these schools. But when you think about literally all the other sports, it's like, what's going to happen? I don't know, because it's at the end of the day, in the day and age that we're in of college sports, football has become the most unlike college athletics out of all of them. But then all these other smaller sports, they're still part of the school, they're still a part of the conference, but they are not to any degree. They have not evolved like football, like college football has. So how are they going to be? How are these schools going to be able to, cover maybe even like traveling expenses here, like them going completely across the country if it does happen, and all this stuff? I mean, I don't know how all that works, but it is just like, I can't imagine how it will work.
And Eli Drinkwitz, the Missouri football head coach, he actually brought up a lot of great points that I liked, where he said, football will be fine because it's week to week, whatever. Then he started talking about all the other sports, and the problem is a lot of kids chose schools because they play in conferences that are like close by to each other. Like a kid might have chosen USC, and it's like, well, hey, my parents can come and see me play almost every single game of the season, because the farthest I would ever travel would be like to Colorado or maybe some weird bowl game or something. But most of the games would be would be on the West Coast. Now all of a sudden, like, most of your games are in the middle of the country against Michigan, Minnesota, Ohio State. I mean, a lot of these kids don't have like all this money, or their families don't have all this money where they can just travel all the time, buy plane tickets, and see every single game. And I'm sure it's even worse for the other sports, because at least in football, some of these guys are getting some big NIL deals. So maybe they can say, okay, here you go, mom and dad, I'll buy you a plane ticket. But other sports like volleyball, basketball, like that's not the same. That's going to be hard. So maybe that'll
something just tells me they will, and they are going to get the short end of the stick for sure. Yeah. It's like football. It's already, there's already some negatives to, like you said, if football wise, but then like all the other sports, like that, even basketball, for instance, men's basketball at most schools, second most revenue generating sport. That's still like, it's going to be so much different than how the football program will probably be treated in those instances. So I don't know. That's just something that I was thinking about. Like all these decisions are being made just for football, and I don't really think that's fair.
And just for money purposes,
Yeah.
without actually asking students about it, or just other alumni or other people. That they're just like, nope, gotta get the money now.
When have they ever asked students about anything or any decisions that the University of Tennessee makes?
Yeah, or any university.
Or any university. Just us as students here.
Yeah, no, yeah, exactly. Like the entertainment complex, I wasn't surveyed. I gotta.
What entertainment? Oh, the
entertainment, whatever.
I mean, I'm not against it, but I wasn't surveyed either. That just happens. It's so weird because college is so different from high school. Imagine at high school them being like making some huge changes and not telling you. But in college, it's just like, that's like an institution. Like this happens all the time. We love you, UT, though. We're
Yeah.
excited for everybody to get back here. But
They're not moving us. We're in the SEC, so
yeah,
we're good.
yeah, no,
we're
we're
good.
all snug and cozy over here. I feel safe.
Yeah.
I feel really safe.
We're important.
Yeah, unfortunately, Tennessee has so much money and so much NIL money because they knew this was coming. They knew that they had planned for this way better than other schools. So fortunately, of all this chaos, Tennessee is probably in the top 10 of teams that are in the best spot to compete in the future. But I do feel sorry for all the teams that aren't, and I do worry about the balance of power just getting shifted further to the haves versus the have-nots. Fortunately, we're one of the haves, but still, that's still.
I've never felt like so glad to live in a landlocked state that can literally only be described as in the southeast. I'm like, this is good. But Justin, anything else on conference expansion or anybody else before we move on to our last fun segment?
Let's get into the fun segment. I'm excited. I haven't been told about what it is. So.
I put it in the doc, but it's not super fun. So basically, you haven't been here, but we've been making hypothetical questions and stuff like that about football season because it's in high anticipation football season, obviously. So we'll be right back. Stay tuned for the last segment of Rock Solid Sports on Volunteer Radio 90.3 The Rock, rocking ears for 41 years.
The Rock thanks the One Knox Sporting Club soccer team for their support. One Knox plays all of their home matches at Regal Soccer Stadium on campus, and the season runs into October with matches against Memphis, Chattanooga, Lexington, and more USL League One opponents. Tickets, including UT student tickets and game day info, is at oneknoxsc.com. WUTK is proud to be a media partner with One Knox. Rock Solid Sports will be keeping up with One Knox Soccer all season long. One Knox SC. We are one.
Volunteer Radio receives support from Tennessee Smokies Baseball, the AA Southern League affiliate of the Chicago Cubs, whose 2023 regular season schedule features 6-game homestands Tuesdays through Sundays at nearby Smoky Stadium in Kodak against the Chattanooga Lookouts, Mississippi Braves, Birmingham Barons, and more. WUTK's Rock Solid Sports covers Smokies Baseball all season long. SmokiesBaseball.com. Link up at WUTKRadio.com.
Hey, y'all, this is John Paul Keith. You're listening to 90.3 The Rock, bringing Knoxville new music first.
90.3 The Rock thanks the UT Athletic Department for their support. The 2023 football Vols will play home games at Neyland Stadium against SEC rivals South Carolina, Georgia, Texas A&M, and others. Allballs.com for info, with a link at WUTKRadio.com. UT student ticket info is at bigorangetics.utk.edu. 90.3 The Rock says, Go Vols!
Volunteer Radio receives support from Tennessee Smokies Baseball, the AA Southern League affiliate of the Chicago Cubs, whose 2023 regular season schedule features 6-game homestands Tuesdays through Sundays at Smoky Stadium in Kodak. It's a 9-inning vacation. The next series takes place against the Rocket City Trash Pandas Tuesday, August 15th through Sunday, August 20th. WTK's Rock Solid Sports will keep you up to date with Smokies Baseball Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays at 7 p.m. The SmokiesBaseball.com, and a link is at WUTKRadio.com.
Hi, this is Ben Taylor, and you're listening to 90.3 The Rock, bringing Knoxville new music first.
Volunteer Radio thanks Modern Sports Bar, Fieldhouse Social, 2525 University Commons Way for their support. American Craft Food, Beer and Cocktails, a 21-foot digital big screen TV, and plenty more TVs throughout the restaurant and a back patio. Open at 11 a.m. except Tuesdays at 4 p.m. FieldhouseSocial.com or their Facebook page. Fieldhouse Social proudly sponsors WUTK's Rock Solid Sports Monday Summer Show at 7 p.m.
The Rock thanks Knoxville Ice Bears Southern Professional Hockey League team for their support. Their 2023-24 home ice season from October through April includes games with Fayetteville, Huntsville, Roanoke, and more at the Civic Coliseum downtown. Single game and season tickets at KnoxvilleIceBears.com. Rock Solid Sports features Ice Bears Wednesdays with news and updates. Volunteer Radio says, Go Ice Bears! Volunteer Radio thanks the UT Athletic Department and the men's basketball program for their support. Coach Barnes' 9th season on the Summit includes home games against Kentucky, Vandy, and more at Thompson Bowling Arena. Allballs.com. Student ticket info and login is at bigorangetics.utk.edu. That's TIX. Volunteer Radio says, Go Balls Basketball.
Hey kids, it's Derek.
And Rob from the Funhouse.
Brought to you each Friday night by Raven Records and Rarities, located at 1200 North Central in Happy Hollow.
Join us each Friday as we kick off your weekend with classics from bands like The Descendants, The Stooges, My Morning Jacket, Mudhoney.
Newer stuff from Anal and the Sniffers, King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard, Wet Leg, and Turnstile. You'll also catch some local stuff.
Hip-hop, Americana, metal.
Who knows? We don't even know half the time.
Every Friday at 8 o'clock, right here on 90.3 The Rock.
Hey, Jimmy from Out Loud Knock. How would you describe the show?
Music, blah, 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 blah.
The Funhouse is co-sponsored by your downtown destination, ScruffyCity.com.
Welcome back to Rock Solid Sports on Friday night. I'm your host, Chloe. I'm here in the studio with Devin, and we have Justin on StreamYard, and it's our last and final segment. I'm going to throw this to something. This was the inspo for this came off something I saw on Instagram today, and it was something that was not the first time it's been said. You know, I've been seeing a lot of former college football players on podcasts and whatnot talking about their experiences. Now that they're out of college, they can say whatever they want. I guess that's the thing. But anyways, former Alabama edge rusher Will Anderson has also came out, in addition to a Georgia player that did a few months ago, and said Neyland was one of the toughest college football stadiums to play in. So I don't know if you guys have been to many other college football stadiums. I've only been to one. I'm going to be going into Tuscaloosa this year, so we'll see how that is. But I want to know, where would you not want to play as a visiting team besides Tennessee, of course? And then also in a little bit, we'll see, like, looking at our schedule this year, which away game on the schedule do you think will have the craziest environment to where it could affect the Vols? I guess I'll start out as far as loudness, one that has always been compared with Tennessee, or a lot of people say it's better than Tennessee, is definitely LSU. And I've been down to LSU. I've been down to Death Valley. Granted, I was there during a noon game, but the thing about it is, any noon game local time, it was 11 a.m. in Baton Rouge, any noon game and every noon game that I've been to here in Knoxville at Neyland was like 3 times louder than the LSU game. It was louder. I've seen louder homecoming games here in Knoxville than the LSU Tennessee game. And I just think that's crazy for how loud they're supposed to be. And the fans leaving second quarter. It sounds like I'm trashing LSU, and that's because I kind of am. But it just was so, like, I don't even know how the two can be compared. It was not comparable at all. Also, what was I going to say? Oh, also, I just feel like for a rivalry such as LSU that you haven't played in X amount of years, and it's a big game, it's kind of like how Ole Miss was 2 years ago. That game was packed because everyone wanted to see us play Ole Miss. There's a history with that team. There's Lane Kiffin, of course, all that. LSU is a comparable game, I feel like, to that. And so then I just feel like if that game was in Neyland, even if it started at freaking 10 o'clock in the morning, which it wouldn't, but even if it did, there would be more fans showing up and showing out. So I think, however, that game, I'm supposed to pick. This is my own question. I'm messing it up. Again, I'm supposed to pick an away game from this year. Because, see, I was going to pick South Carolina, but that's obviously at home. But we obviously saw the effects of the crowd at South Carolina during last year. I'll let you go, Devin.
Okay. Well, I was going to say, like, because I guess if your question, like, are you just saying, like, other teams just, like, in general across the country that have really tough? Well, I would say. That's part A. Yeah, I would say if I was an away team, I would not want to go on the road and play Clemson, because Clemson recently, I saw the stat where it was like over the last 15 years, I think Clemson has only lost 14 home games in 15 years. And then they had the longest active home winning streak in the entire country up until they lost to South Carolina at home at the end of last year. But Before that, they had the longest home winning streak. Clemson's version of Death Valley, I would definitely say, is not a place that I would want to go play if I was the opposing team. And a lot of people are really high on Florida State this season, but Florida State in week 4, they have to travel to Clemson. So that's going to be kind of tricky to see if they can get past that. Definitely on Tennessee's schedule.
Florida.
I was going to say either Florida or Alabama. For sure.
Or Alabama.
Bryant Denny can be tough, and they have close to 100,000 people.
Looking at our schedule, those are really the only two options. I realize because we don't have that many away games. It was a good question in my head when I thought of it, but obviously Florida or Bama. Those are really because the other away games are like Missouri, which could I don't know. Maybe that was our mindset with South Carolina, right?
Yeah.
Last year. So Justin, I'll throw it over to you. What stadium do you think would you absolutely not want to play in as a college football player on the road?
Kroger Field. I'm just kidding. Definitely not Kroger Field. That's like the lamest stadium. They got a shopping cart like on the stadium now, like in the field paint. But I would, not Kroger Field.
Yeah, they're probably pretending it's ironic, but trying to be funny, and then it's like, oh wait, no, this is actually
the design.
Yeah, probably Beaver Stadium though for Penn State. Their wideouts are absolutely insane. I love seeing whenever they host Ohio State or like Michigan, a big Big Ten game at night, it's at Beaver Stadium. It's always electric. The whiteout is truly crazy. I mean, I think
and they only do the whiteout once a year too.
Yeah,
look for one game.
Let me look up how big Beaver Stadium is. I think, if I'm not mistaken,
over 100,000.
106.
Yeah,
which is nuts. I think that's the biggest in college football. So, sorry, my dog's like whimpering next to me. I don't know why.
I think it might be them or Michigan.
Yeah,
the big house. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, but those two are just awesome. I mean, you can see it in the broadcast. Like, it's so loud, and I think the all white is truly menacing. Like, I think back to when they played Ohio State, and they had that kick six where they blocked the kick and returned it to the house. Like, that was crazy. It was probably it sounded like a volcano a few streets away. But yeah,
wow.
I'd go Beaver Stadium. And then for the Vols this year, it's got to be Bryant Denny. I mean, you know how mad they are that we beat them last year. Like, they had to sit on that for 365 days. So that's going to be an electric atmosphere. But all the more exciting if we win in that atmosphere.
Oh, yeah. And I will say Penn State's whiteout game this year, they chose for whatever reason for it to be against Iowa this season as opposed to like a more big-time team. So I'm just going to assume Iowa scored 0 points in that game based on their offense last year and going into that. That's going to be one tough.
I would assume Iowa doesn't have the kicker that gambled on their own games in that game.
Yeah.
He bet the under. He bet the under on their own game. It's probably hit because it's Iowa. But.
Yeah, exactly. That is funny. Yeah, I know that Iowa State got lots of like Hunter Deckers, their quarterback, probably isn't going to play ever again because he gambled on their own games and stuff. Like I know Iowa and Iowa State both have like a lot of issues. With
Iowa, it's Iowa.
Yeah.
One more thing I did see this is kind of controversial for a second. Do you guys think that Georgia faked their sound record? Did you see that? So basically, Georgia had this sound record that was almost close or above to how loud it was at our Bama game, I think. Like, that was how much they measured. And that was how much they measured during the Tennessee game. That much they claimed they measured. And people there were saying, they were like, that's not correct.
Yeah.
They must have been next to the loudspeaker. Yeah, there's no way. Like, their stadium's not a bowl like ours. Like, physically, like, scientifically, I'm not trying to find the big word. Like, that just sounds impossible. Like, the way their stadium's built. Doesn't make sense.
People are like, they're faking it. And I'm like, you're definitely doing something.
Yeah.
Because it was above the level that we recorded at the Alabama game, which you could literally hear that game from 2 miles away on the other side of the river.
When
you could literally hear it.
They must have measured it when like the Jets fly over at the beginning of the game. They must have measured it when the Jets flew over.
They could
like,
do that. They'd be like, this was during that day, and therefore at the stadium it was during the game.
Yeah, they're like, we didn't have to say when it was during the game, but hey, it was during the game.
Yeah, exactly. But no, Neyland Stadium, I can't imagine going in a louder environment. We'll see. I'm so excited to go down to Tuscaloosa this season. A little bit scared to go down there. representing
It's not,
Tennessee,
it's
but
not
we'll
the
see
most,
how it
It's
is.
not the most sightly town, I will say. I've gone there.
Beautiful
and,
Tuscaloosa.
Yeah, the campus
you
itself
Scenic
is kind of
Tuscaloosa.
nice, but yeah, right before you get into the actual campus, it literally does just look like just whatever you're thinking in your head. It looks like that's what it looks.
It's not the
like.
seventh wonder of the world for sure.
Yeah.
But
And they don't even have a Buc-ee's probably on the way. So.
No, unlike
no.
Sevierville.
You're gonna have to be stopping at the marathon or the Tom Thumb, whatever they got down there. Not Buc-ee's.
Wait, what's the one that NASCAR spot or was with I don't know. I'm trying to think of that gas station that's like it's in the South only. I'm trying to think like a NASCAR.
I have no idea.
I don't know. That's probably what it is.
But yeah, I will give it to South Carolina, even though we aren't going away on the road. I do think that, I will have to give them some credit. Their intro and the stadium and the thing they do with the lights over there that we've kind of started doing, it is like super cool. South Carolina is obviously a team that I'm like, oh, it's just South Carolina, even though they beat us. I still don't want to give them that like validation, but they do have a pretty cool thing going on over there. And after what we saw last season with the Vols down there, I think that I don't know. I don't want to say South Carolina is going to be super good this year because I just don't want them to be. Yeah. I don't want to manifest it, but I think that they could have some stoppages in there. Yeah. I'll give them that.
Oh yeah, I think they'll be a good team.
A couple,
because Rattler's back. They've definitely got some good things going, but they'll probably be somewhere between 6-6 and 8-4.
I think they'll be terrible because I don't like them. That's my analysis.
LSU overrated. Tucker Harlan, you can run and tell that. We've been having an argument about that. But no, LSU, I don't think they're going to be good. That's the whole thing. My feminine instincts are telling me this. But we'll have to see when the season rolls around. Stay tuned to 90.3 The Rock for the Funhouse coming up after this. Thanks for listening to our show. We'll be back on Monday with more things. Hopefully back on Wednesday with the coach interview with Mark McKeever. And we will see you on Monday. Stay tuned to 90.3 The Rock, rocking ears for 41 years.